Hey everyone, today I wanted to create a video about really moving through your emotions because this is crucial to your spiritual journey. And to be totally candid and vulnerable, this has been a really difficult week for me as far as what's going on for me emotionally, being triggered, and how to move past that. So I want to make sure that you know I'm speaking to this topic because it's fresh on my mind. And it's really important that you guys know that I am also having the same human experience. And I never want you to think that I'm speaking to you out of ego, because my whole journey has led me to this point where I'm making YouTube videos, posting content on Instagram, and really just trying to provide value for you guys because it was so difficult for me to get to this point. And part of that was because of the belief system that I had that it's hard work to truly become who I want to be. So if you are going through a really rough patch in your life or are really just caught in the patterns of self-sabotage and constantly being triggered by situations that seem to be repeating where you feel the same emotions that you used to feel, I just want you to know that you're not alone, and we'll go ahead and get to that in this video. So before we begin, I would like to talk a little bit about what I personally went through so that you have that humanizing lens about me. So you know that I'm not just talking out of my ass about this. The ego really loves to keep you in the same cycles because what it's doing is it's keeping you safe, right? So it's going to keep bringing you these situations in which you can choose to grow, or you can push it aside and continue on that same path, but the pattern will come up again later. And for me, something that is very prominent in my life is the pattern of feeling really used, and then my incapability to speak up in the moment when I need something. And this is something that I have specifically gotten so much work done on. So like I've had Reiki sessions, I've also hired coaches to really help me break through. And I do feel that I have a lot of experience and a lot of wisdom about this. However, this is obviously a pattern that is really deeply ingrained because it keeps coming up. And the way that the universe and the way that your soul works is that it's trying to break you through all this conditioning so that you can be your free and truly liberated, peaceful, happy self that you came to this world to be. That self is abundant, it's loving, it's kind, and it's able to say what they need when it happens. And this has been my kryptonite. I wanted to share that with you because it really has been something that I continue to work on. And I'm making this video because I know that if I'm going through it, there's a reason, and I have to speak about it. And I want you guys to have some tools, especially if you're not in a position where you're able to hire a coach or able to, hire or do a program, or you maybe feel like you've tried everything and there's nothing that you could possibly do. If at the very least this video offers you hope, I've done my job. So let's talk a little bit about emotions and triggers, and whether that is in your soul alignment versus ego. And you guys probably know off the top of your head what that is, but the further you get along your spiritual path, the harder it is to discern and differentiate what is ego and what is true self, true soul, true spirit. Like I said at the beginning, your soul will bring you situations in which you are tested, not exactly in the same way, but those same emotions, those same feelings that or sensations that come up in your body will resurface. Part of this is psychological. It's really that on a physical level, your brain has become addicted chemically to feeling this way, and your unconscious mind is always looking to prove yourself right. So if this is an addiction, for instance, if you're addicted to drugs, your unconscious mind is going to continually give you situations in which you're tested to choose drugs or not. And those moments, this is just an example of, are you going to choose the higher path, or are you going to continue to self-sabotage and move down the path of, choosing drugs? And again, this might not be exactly related to you, but some of you might. I have no idea, and I want to be sensitive to the fact that some of you might be going through that, and that this is a very safe place, and there's no judgment here if that is something that has happened to you. I want you to know that first and foremost, there's only love here for you. Secondly, in addition to it being a psychological thing, spiritually, we attract like energy. Right? So every video that I've made thus far, I think that I've said that we are energetic beings that are basically magnets. So like whatever energy we're expelling out into the world is directly being reflected back to us in our physical situation. So if there is a part of you that is closed off, or, and I'll just use the example for me, part of you that's closed off, unable to speak, sometimes maybe you'll feel like this really, really like deep pressure in your throat because you constantly hold yourself back from speaking your truth. You will continually be brought situations in which you can grow or choose to do the same thing you've done before. And in my life, especially in the last couple of weeks, I have been tested so freaking hard about whether or not I'm going to allow myself to speak my truth. And this is something that I am practicing and working on by recording YouTube videos, by showing up on my on my Instagram, and also creating more content that's valuable. And I'm finding very, very slowly and with a lot of grace that these changes come with awareness first. So the first step to changing these self-limiting habits are first becoming aware of what that pattern is. So for me, like I've said, I close myself off and I don't allow myself to express my needs in the moment because I have an underlying belief that if I speak my truth, I will hurt other people. And I know that this is something that a lot of people go through. And it is also a very codependent and self-limiting strategy that my ego uses to keep me safe. And this is a very common one. And I'm only using myself as an example because I want you to know, like, I'm with you. I am with you in the ditch here. And this is something that I continue to work on through my sadhana practice, which is spiritual practice, through my meditation, my yoga, through my circles of sisterhood, and really just seeing other people for who they are face to face. Takes a lot of work, but truly what's happening is your soul is starting to pull you into a deeper state of presence and witnessing and being aware of like what is going on under the surface. Like your unconscious mind has been on autopilot. It runs 99% of your life. Like your conscious mind literally only works like 1% of the time. Even if you are awake, like the habits that you have day to day are your unconscious mind steering the way. And when you start to do this work of sadhana and also just kind of getting on that spiritual path, you start to step into the seat of the witness, which transcends both the conscious and the unconscious mind, so that you can make changes from there. So that first step is being aware, and really it's the only step. If you wanted a second step, because the mind always likes to work in a systematic way, the second step would be mindfulness. So noticing when you're not being present in the moment. So when you're being triggered, what is the first thing that happens? For me, I get a tightness in my throat. And that's the moment where I need to say, I'm feeling really tight in my throat. That must mean that I'm feeling an emotion and I need to express it, but I don't know how at this moment. Even if, I don't know how to express it in that moment, just saying those words would release a lot of the tension that's building up. It's not necessary that you make huge changes right away. Change happens organically. What happens in the moment is the decision to change. And this is my invitation to you to change, because you have the power to manifest the life of your dreams by getting out of your own way. Self-sabotage and self-limiting beliefs are only going to keep you in those cycles that you learned from childhood, which are most likely the same cycles that your parents went through. And we are in a generation of the Great Awakening. That is so freaking awesome. We have, as a collective, as this demographic, the power to change the world by simply being present and aware of what's going on inside of us and speaking to that in a way that's authentic to us. For me, it's speaking. It literally is like me letting it out of my mouth. And I've worked with several coaches for techniques that work for me. And if you work with me, I can do the same thing with you. So the next part of this video, I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about what I've been working on to help you guys do that. So I typically like to work with women or people who identify as women or goddesses. So even if you are part of the LGBTQ community, I want to work with you if you feel that you embody a goddess essence, because it is important for us as goddesses, as the divine feminine, to step into our power as the divine feminine, which means really stepping into our intuition, allowing our emotions to be felt and heard and seen, and really just creating safe space. We live in a very patriarchal, wounded masculine society, and as long as that is true, we're going to keep repeating those same patterns. And on a bigger level, I believe that if we do this internal work, we can shift the world. So what I've created are 2 programs and 2 ways to work with me. The first is the Sacred and Divine Goddesses Collective. And this is an 8-week course where we have weekly group coaching calls and sister circles, where I'll lead you through meditation, quick yoga class, and then we really just deep dive into those self-sabotaging limiting beliefs, where we talk about it. Because the beautiful thing about being human and the beautiful thing about having a mind is that we know how it works. We learn through our mirror neuron. So when we see other people, this is why I told my story at the beginning of this video, and this is why I continue to tell my story on YouTube. When you see someone else show up, it automatically gives your unconscious mind permission to show up in the same way. And this is why I am making it a huge goal to continue to be vulnerable and continue to be authentic in the stories that I've experienced and sharing them with you. Because when you hear my story, and especially if my story is worse or like more traumatic than what you've experienced, it gives you permission to step up. It gives you permission to be present with yourself and witness yourself in whatever emotions come up for you. And then you also get access to all of the recordings. So all of those group calls will be recorded. You'll get access to a private group where you can connect with other people. And you'll have access to a discount working with me one-on-one. So the one-on-one program, I just rebranded, to Embrace the Journey Mentorship Program. So if you've been following me for a while, the hashtag that I've been using for the last 3 or so years is Embrace the Journey. And for some reason, it never like stuck for me, like just didn't feel real to me for some reason, which I don't know why. But when I had this epiphany the other day, I was like, oh, Embrace the Journey, like that is a mentorship program, because I'm teaching people how to see themselves. And this is a similar program to Sacred and Divine Goddesses. However, it's more intimate because it's one-on-one. Sometimes it's really fucking scary to show up and be seen, especially in a group. And I know that one-on-one, or I know that group settings are a lot more daunting than one-on-one sessions for me. Anyway, it could be opposite for you. That's just the way that I work. But I'm offering this to you as a means of pushing you further than maybe you could go in a group setting. But with the one-on-one mentorship program, you'll also receive everything that the Sacred and Divine Goddesses receive. So all of the group calls, the yoga, the meditation, recordings, the private group, as well as private access to me. So I'll give you my personal phone number so you can text me and you have access to me throughout your mentorship program, which lasts 12 weeks. And then on top of that, you also get recordings of your one-on-one sessions. So we'll do those through Zoom. That way you have a library of your own progress from beginning to end. And we will together create a sadhana practice for you. So for me, my sadhana is I wake up, I drink some water, I brush my teeth, I meditate, I go move by either doing yoga or lifting weights, and then I nourish my body with food. And this has been the same thing that I've done for the last 10 years. I do this every single day. The meditation came pretty later on, but like that has been my schedule, my morning schedule every single day. I pretty much never skip it, except for like maybe the first couple of weeks of pregnancy when I was super sick. But this is truly something that is important to your spiritual growth, and your sadhana practice will follow my framework of mindset, movement, and maintenance. So in the next video, I'm going to share with you guys what mindset movement and maintenance does for your whole being from the perspective of mind, body, and spirit. Thank you guys so much for listening to me today. I know that this is a lot of information and I hope that this helps. And if so, please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'm going to go ahead and post a free meditation down below that will help you purify your mind. It's called Anapana meditation, so that if you haven't ever tried meditation, it kind of gives you a little gateway into it. And when you do that, it'll add you to my email list, which I'm also creating an Embrace the Journey Mondays newsletter, where I give you just some tips or what's going on in my life every single Monday. And part of me announcing this to you is to keep myself accountable, again, because I want to make sure that I continue to humanize myself and I'm not just saying all of these things because I think I'm higher than thou or something like that. Absolutely not a flex. I love you guys so much. And if you guys want to work with me, I'm going to post all of those ways down below. Thank you so much. Namaste.